Doctor Who, The Impossible Astronaut, the first episode of Series 6, is written by Stephen Moffat and starring Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, Arthur Darvill and Alex Kingston. So yeah, those casts returned for their second series. Rory was a recurring character in Series 5, and Arthur kept his fingers crossed to be a companion, and he is. Alex Kingston didn't expect to return after Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, two-parter, but Stephen Moffat has planned to bring her back, obviously. The series has been split into two first parts of Series 6. It's from The Impossible Astronaut to A Good Man Goes to War. Then Part 2 came out over 2 months later, getting towards the end of summer 2011, from Let's Kill Hitler to The Wedding of River Song. Apparently it hasn't been like that since Season 18. So the series focuses on the story of the Doctor's death, revealing who Silence are, and learning more about River. Stephen Moffat didn't want to end the story arc in Series 5, as if it would be more fun to continue it in the next series, which I think is a great idea. I will be talking about other specials like Comic Relief Special, Space and Time, and the prequels as well. Space and Time was filmed during Series 6, that's also written by Stephen Moffat, as he did The Curse of the Fatal Death, except that was a parody, and there was also the Sarah Jane Adventures Comic Relief Special from Raxacorical Valapatorius with Love, written by Gareth Roberts and Clayton Hickman. Moffat described Space and Time, a moment of life aboard the TARDIS, which is a nice moment, where the story is about the TARDIS appearing inside the TARDIS, which happened in The Time Monster and Logopolis, both by the Master, but not this one, and there's two Amy's, and it's pretty amusing and an enjoyable comic relief special. Both two-parter came out 18th of March 2011. In terms of this series, Stephen Moffat said that the purpose of the previous series was to reassure the audience that the show was the same even though there's changes from Russell T Davies' era. But Stephen also wanted to be like Ghost Train and worry the audience a bit. As you can see, there is no Daleks in this series except a small scene where it's damaged in the last episode, because he wanted to give them a break. So Stephen Moffat wanted this series to start with two-parter, which hasn't been done since Season 22, Attack of the Cybermen, Colin Baker's era. He also said it's one of the darkest episodes of the series, but he kept the same level of humour. We also have short episode Prequel in this episode. We get President Nixon getting a phone call from a girl to ask him look behind. Nixon was confused on how she got the number because it's private. So after he hangs up, we get an intense moment where the Silent appeared behind him. This episode shares the memory of Elizabeth Sladen, aka Sarah Jane Smith, as she sadly passed away from cancer back in 2011. The episode begins with Charles II and his guards searching for the Doctor, and there's painting of a naked Doctor with a red blanket around him. And it's pretty amusing when he's hiding in Matilda's dress naked. Paul Kritoff played Charles II, the King of England, from 1660 to 1685. Henrietta Clement played Matilda, who's an aristocrat. I do like how the Doctor just appears in history forms of media just to get Amy and Rory's attention. He also goes to World War II in POW camp and being in Laurel and Hardy. Speaking of Amy and Rory, they both got a blue letter with a number 3 on. River Song got the same letter but with number 2. I also love how she's making excuses for escaping the prison. So Amy and Rory arrived at the desert in Utah, which is in America. They reunited with the Doctor, who loves wearing a Stetson but got shot off by River. So they both go to diner and talking about Jim the Fish. The Doctor discusses London 1969. After the title sequence, they have a picnic in the beach. The astronaut rises. The bit where Doctor approached the astronaut got shot and are regenerating. I thought it was the end of Matt Smith era already. I was like, that was quick. They must really hate him for replacing David Tennant. But thankfully not. But a sad scene where he seems permanently killed, which obviously got explained at the end, which is a Tesselector. Stephen Moffat wanted to remind us that Time Lords can permanently die if they're killed before regeneration, showing us that they're not invincible. So astronauts sunk away in the sea and Amy crying over the Doctor's body, and an old Canton Delaware III came and brought gasoline so the Doctor's body gets burnt and sail away on the boat. Delaware has a letter with the number 4 on. The Doctor's companions found a letter with number 1 at the table and wondered who did the Doctor trust the most. It turns out to be his younger self. Phew! I love the King of OK line. So they plan to go to America in 1969. River and Amy convinces the Doctor to trust River, but he wouldn't, because he's aware that she killed someone. So then the TARDIS materialised in a silent and invisible mode in the White House at the Oval Office, where young Canton Everett Delaware III is sitting with President Nixon, listening to a girl on the radio saying stuff about Monster, while the Doctor is writing a note, but then gets caught. And it went well as expected. Nixon sent his men to pin the Doctor down, so he got River to reveal the TARDIS. And I love the bit where the Doctor is sitting at the desk with guns pointing at him and naming his companions the Legs, the Nose and Mrs. Robinson. River did not like that. Mark Sheppard played Canton Everett Delaware III, who worked for FBI but got sacked all because he wanted to marry a guy. Jeez. And I love the character, and Mark's real-life dad, William Morgan Sheppard, played the older version, which is nice. Sadly, William is no longer with us. They both did a great job with the character. Stuart Milligan, who played Colonel Stark in Doctor Who Dreamland, in this episode he played President Millis Nixon, the 37th President of the United States of America, from 1969 to 1974. So they agree the Doctor is worth listening, and I loved his line when he said, "I'm going to need SWAT team ready to mobilise street level maps covering all of Florida, a pot of coffee, 12 jammy Dodgers and a fez." So while the Doctor is looking at the map, Amy saw Silent again as she saw him earlier at the beach, but forgotten about him as soon as she looks away. Pretty creepy. Amy is feeling a little sick, so she needs to go to the toilet, and supervised by one of President's men, although he's waiting outside, thankfully. So Amy sees Silent again. After a woman came out, she sees him twice, and referencing Star Trek, but obviously forgotten about him as soon as she looks away. So then Silent killed her, even though she couldn't remember. The Silents are created by Tasha Lem. They are a religious order of priests. If you look away from them, you'd forget them, which is a nice piece of design. Stephen Moffat took the inspiration from the screen painted by Edvard Munch and Men in Black. Matt Smith thought they're the scariest Doctor Who monsters, and Karen Gillan said they could compete with the Weeping Angels. Love to see that. They should bring the Silents back, even though one had a cameo in Revolution of the Daleks. Still need more of those stories. Silent told Amy to tell the Doctor something he must know and he mustn't know. After Amy took a photo of the Silent, she heads back to the office, but then the girl phones the President saying a monster is going to get her. So the Doctor, Amy, Rory, River and Canton went in the TARDIS and arrived at warehouse searching around. River climbed down underground with Rory. It's so intense. When Silent is lurking around, as they found a time machine similar to the one from the lodger, Rory gets attacked. The Doctor, Amy and Canton heard a girl shouting, "Help me," so they ran. As Canton seems to be unconscious, Amy tells the Doctor that she's pregnant. It's pretty scary the way Astronaut came. It turns out to be that girl in the suit. So Amy shot the astronaut, which is extreme cliffhanger.
Help me! Get down! What are you doing? Saving your life!
Shooting a child, but thankfully she hasn't died. She missed. Fantastic start for the series. I really enjoyed it. What did you think of this episode? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks as always for watching, and see you in the next video.